Pixar's 2 for 2 on movies where I laugh my ass off.
Do you think I get to call him Steve? I don't think I get to call him Steve.
I think Stuff Happens, the movie, is the way I'm gonna describe it. If alien technology exists, someone would have found it and just plugged it into Patrick Mahomes.
He was on Zoom.
He was
messing with
the
Zoom background.
It's just Conan, and I love Conan. I was tempted to go, I was about to do that little DiCaprio point.
DiCaprio point?
Yeah.
And welcome back to another episode of Pinoy versus the World. My name is Harald Hyllseth.
My name is Chris Angkico.
And we're back outside, Chris. It's a hot one in Seattle today. I think we're hitting almost 90 degrees. Something like that.
Yeah.
That's
it was hotter yesterday, but so it's nice that it's not as hot, but it's still it's a little toasty.
A cheeky breeze.
Yeah.
The World Cup is in town. It's really a busy time to be in 206. And it's been a busy time for us getting back into watching movies. This is our second episode back after a little hiatus.
Really more for you because you've been working more.
Oh
you've been out and about. So me, I just sit around all day when I work.
This guy just sits.
Yeah,
I'm
sit
moving
around all day.
I'm moving.
Yeah.
We don't need to get into any of the moving and shaking, but what we do need to get into is two big-time movies, honestly. I'd say probably summer blockbusters to get our year started off. One of which we got started watching this weekend, Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day. Something that's been moderately hyped leading up to its release last weekend. We both watched it separately. I know we've got some not necessarily mixed thoughts, but the movie itself, I think, has elicited a lot of mixed reviews. But maybe I'll just ask you to jump into it. I can give you a little bit of background on who's writing it. I mean, we've got David Koepp? David Koepp. What, 40 different versions of the screenplay or something like that? Shout out Reddit.
He's written a lot of movies. Do you have like a Wikipedia down?
I don't have a David Koepp Wikipedia.
Okay, I know he's done a lot of stuff with like Soderbergh and whatnot. That's what I've seen most of like his credits on. But
I mean, obviously a dude who's kind of with the previous generation. I mean, Steven Spielberg is as old head, like, elder as it gets, and shout out, he's 79. Happy 80th birthday later this year, Steve. Do you think I get to call him Steve? I don't think I get to call him Steve.
Who does?
Yeah. Probably his kids. Does he have kids? That's not a part of the point here. He's got
but I don't
kids.
know. Yeah.
Shout out to Steven Spielberg for making a movie at 79. It was the 5th highest opening weekend for a Steven Spielberg movie because we were talking about how you actually haven't really tapped into a lot of these. Have you seen Jurassic Park? Because you haven't seen E.T.
This is a Jurassic Park hat. Yeah.
Reference.
The Newbar, the research team.
The opposite of reference slop.
Yeah, so this is a reference. So this is the only Spielberg themed thing that I have. So I was like, I'm gonna wear it for this. Yeah,
gotta wear it today.
But I haven't seen like E.T.'s probably the big one that I have not seen. I think I might have started watching it during pandemic, but it was late at night, and then I got 30 minutes through it, and then I went to sleep, and then I never put it back on.
Incredible.
So maybe that's sacrilege for some people. I mean,
where the Spielberg
that's fine,
heads at,
but
in our comment section. Coming after Chris.
Coming after me, exactly. I'll take the heat. I just admitted that, so
it's okay.
Fine. It's fine.
I'll carry the other half of this where I think I watched the E.T. VHS tape in my grandparents' house several times growing up. I do have very vivid memories of that little alien scaring me, but grew to love him. Shout out E.T. He does need to watch it one day. It's a pretty good one. But obviously, we've got The Lost World, Jurassic Park, not even the first Jurassic Park. That is the highest grossing opening, not adjusted for inflation, but we've got War of the Worlds, Jurassic Park 1, Crystal Skull, and then obviously Disclosure Day. So, he might still have it. The man himself might have it. We've got a kind of a stacked acting crew here. We've got Emily Blunt, Josh O'Connor, Colin Firth, Coleman Domingo, Wyatt Russell, Eve Hewson. Lots of big names, a big name director. Obviously, kind of a mix of the generations I think we're going to get into a conversation here about. But I'm going to start off by asking you, Chris, what your initial non-spoiler review thoughts were for Disclosure Day.
I'm going to admit I didn't like it that much.
Damn, there it is.
I did not like it that much. I would say it felt like a lot of Stuff Happens the movie. I think Stuff Happens the movie is the way I'm going to describe it. There are definitely good performances in it. Like you said, there's a lot of good actors in it. But it just felt like there was a lot of random things that were happening in the movie. It asks you to buy into a lot of scenes where, and like Emily Blunt has abilities. We'll get more into that later, but Emily Blunt has abilities, and the ways that she uses them are just they're very convenient for the plot, I will say. There are times where like agents are like surging on them, and then she uses this ability, and then they all just kind of clear the way. And just other stuff like that where things just didn't feel very cohesive to me, at least. And then like Josh O'Connor, again, like I love him and stuff. I mean, Challenge is one of my
that's
four
the
favorite
man.
movies. He's one of my four favorite
Wake Up
movies.
Dead Man, he's incredible in Wake Up Dead Man.
He's great in Wake Up Dead Man. Basically, everything I've seen him in, he's like really, really good in it. But in this movie, I just felt they didn't give him much of a character. He's more like a guy who needs to spin the wheel to advance the plot. Yeah, I mean, for me, at least in that way, it was kind of a waste of his talents. But Colin Firth is good for what he's given.
Good villain.
I feel like he's given
Decent
a lot.
villain.
He's given a lot.
Yeah.
But I just say in general, it just didn't make a lot of sense to me, and like even like the payoff of it. And this is another thing we'll get more into, but I just feel like it's sort of a worldview that feels a little outdated to me. It feels like a societal reaction to things that happen in the movie that would not happen in real life. So just kind of a mixed bag, but a mix to kind of negative, I would say, to start out.
Because I feel like I think we're in complete alignment about the mixed feelings. For especially the non-spoiler review section. I mean, I kind of want to start off. I didn't even mention this name at the top. This is also a John Williams scored movie, probably his last or one of his last, as well as this might be one of Spielberg's last.
He's very old.
Very old. I think my man John is like 94.
He's like
Dude, shout out John.
He's up there, yeah.
Can I call you John? No, John Williams, obviously one of the GOATs, and Steven Spielberg, one of the GOATs. It's one of those odd situations where I'd think we're like kind of the grandfathers of Gen Z, like the two of us, which is hilarious because we're just turning 29 this year. But this is distinctly a film that would have killed in the 80s. I think this is a movie that heavily leans on your buy-in in the audience from the very beginning, which could be impacted by how much you love Spielberg movies, how old you are, how young you are, like what generation you grew up with, right? I don't think it's necessarily a spoiler to say there are kind of like supernatural things happening in the film. I know in the trailers there's a lot of animals that are kind of like oddly CGI'd in. We'll get into the CGI of this film like probably later. But, there's a lot of these things that bring intrigue and a little bit of mystery that actually got me really excited as someone who's kind of tapped into probably 50% of the Spielberg filmography. But I'm also not a Spielberg head. I feel like that's kind of more of like my uncle and my auntie's bag, like that's really like, even like the millennials, the older millennials are probably like there for the peak of like the 90s Spielberg movies that are like all about spectacle, mystery. And at the end of the day, Spielberg is always trying to say something with his films. Now, does that kind of land for us for Disclosure Day? It sounds like it doesn't really land for you. I would agree with you as well. Like, I think there's some kind of like mystery here with the government and the antagonist of this film, and then counteracted with more of like Josh O'Connor's character side of this with Coleman Domingo, etc. That's kind of like, just feels like I'm going in loops, and it feels like it's almost 30 minutes too long, but it's also trying to balance that it is got the Spielberg name behind it, one of his last movies most likely. And it's a summer blockbuster. It's probably one of the first we've gotten this year. And I don't know, across the board, I think we got to get into spoilers a little bit here in a second to really get into the nitty gritty of what we didn't like. But I do think it's bloated. It's tough that this, the John Williams score, like I don't blame John Williams, just it's not very like present in the film. I think it's kind of shot honestly pretty cool, like when you have Spielberg behind the camera, like in his bag, but the film gradient is really gray. It's really dark. It's not really like an appetizing film to like look at and find stuff from.
It's very blue.
It's very blue. It's very blue-gray. A little combination of the two. The kind of stuff that makes you fall asleep. You know what I mean? There's got to have been some people. I watched this in a theater with like maybe 20 people, right? And we watched it separately. Like
You watched it with 20 people?
Not 20 people. Yeah, my 20 closest friends. No, the entire building had 20 people. It was not packed. It did not seem hyped up. This movie does not seem like it's hyped up for a Spielberg film. And this is one of those things where it's like, I want to mince my words because I want to be respectful to one of the GOATs. But I don't think this movie landed for a certain generation. That being said, I've seen mixed discourse on this. I've seen 4s, I've seen 4.5s, I've seen 2s, I've seen 3s. We'll get into our ratings a little later.
I saw one. I saw one from someone that I met a couple years ago at a film festival.
We saw the Reddit post when you just type in Disclosure Day, the first like little Reddit link at the top right hand corner is like, I think this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen, which may be a little harsh, but some people do believe that. And I think we're going to teeter on the line there of wanting to get into spoilers now for Disclosure Day. Chris, the aliens are boring. The aliens are just aliens that Spielberg probably could have gone crazy with in the 90s and have gone crazy with previous alien films of his, Well,
obviously, to get into a bit of the story, obviously Josh O'Connor's...
I jumped right to the end.
Josh O'Connor's character, I think, what's the evil organization, Ward X? Is that what it's called?
Let's go with Ward X.
Something like that. Some WX thing. But he used to work for this, this NGO that protects all the alien secrets and stuff like that. So, Nixon, I believe in the part of the lore that Nixon was the president when aliens crash landed on Earth, and then his administration found them and kept them in looks like a morgue basically.
Roswell.
Roswell,
Norman
is that what it
fucking
is?
Roswell. Yeah.
Yeah, so they've been keeping these aliens hostage for like 50 something years, and there's tons of video evidence and stuff like that they recorded over the years. And Josh O'Connor's like, I'm gonna get my hands on all of this and find the nearest NBC affiliate and transmit all of this footage to the entire world at once.
From Kansas City, the center of the world at that one moment.
From Kansas City, the center of the world. And so there's that. But then also Josh O'Connor and Emily Blunt's characters when they were kids, we're going out of order from the movie, but chronologically, Josh O'Connor and Emily Blunt when they were kids, they were abducted by aliens and both given different abilities. So Emily Blunt's is basically the ability to like know someone immediately after looking at them, like know all their struggles.
The number one empath on Earth.
Exactly.
Number one empath.
It's like literally super unlimited empathy power.
Unlimited empathy.
And then Josh O'Connor's power is basically he knows math, but also he can like translate the alien clicks into English.
Yeah, it's like a certain kind of code. It's like the universal language is that they talk about it like that. Coleman Domingo's like, it's the universal language.
So the first thing that I thought, at least in that was really funny, was when they get, because they're hooked up and they're hooked up to like a machine so they can read their brains or whatever, and then they're basically like recounting this stuff, and the aliens, they bring them into a room and it's like a warm light. I was thinking the Ryan Gosling SNL skit where it's like a warm light's coming through and, I felt the warmth of the aliens, and I felt like that was that, but taken completely seriously, which really threw me off. The whole movie is taken completely seriously. And for some people, maybe that works, but, people like us that are on the internet a lot and you have seen like ironic, like satire on that type of alien abduction invasion thing, it comes off really weird and feels very outdated. There's many outdated things about this movie.
Like, again, I have to say one of the reasons now that we're talking about the spoilers section, the 80s and 90s would have cooked with this film because the government, our current government, is out here releasing constant things that are like, look, extraterrestrials are real. I mean, we're a generation that has been, like you said, on the internet a lot. So it's like, well, even if they are real, I'm like, am I going to react the same way that some of the people's like, I got to look up Eve's name. Yeah, Jane, the character Jane. Balls immediately the moment that these aliens are terrorized, right? I'm like, they're going through the interrogation scenes, and I'm like, what could you have seen that made you immediately break down in probably one of the worst like episodes of just straight fear and sadness like this person's probably ever had? I cannot take everyone in this movie seriously when they get that emotional about seeing the aliens getting interrogated, because I'm like, you won't even get that crazy about like humans getting interrogated, let alone you finding out that aliens exist. It feels like a movie that's set in like 2005, not 2026.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like you sort of alluded to, like it basically asks you to buy into the premise that a modern society would be shocked at government corruption.
Like what's the word stronger than shocked?
Extremely appalled, and like disgusted and horrified by government corruption. We don't live in that world. We do not live in that world. We live in the year 2026 on real life planet Earth.
Yeah.
Our lives are not, blue gray in actual film grain.
Yeah.
But we don't live in that. We don't live in that world. We know that, like, that's the thing. There's so many things, like including stuff on aliens that's just released to distract from all the other stuff that's happening. So it's like
real world.
The blatant corruption is out there, and you do not need to like, wince your eyes a little bit to like see it. It's like, it's everywhere. You just kind of like look out the window and like look at the sky. You're like, okay, well, there it is.
Yeah.
And it asks you to buy into a society that doesn't exist. So it kind of takes you out of because normally the fiction is supposed to be like more heightened or more like extreme than reality is. And it does not feel like that is the case. Feels like you wrote this movie before obviously all this stuff happened. I don't know when they filmed it. I don't know when it was conceived.
I mean, it seems like a movie that was written almost 10 years ago.
Exactly. It feels like an idea that was cooking in the oven and was not taken out of the oven
at
and
the
updated.
Right time.
It was not the recipe was not modified at all.
They didn't listen to the easy bake oven instructions. They kept it in there for 10 years too long. And it's truly like disappointing to me, because I think I got to give a little bit of love to the movie, because I don't think I fully dislike it to the point of being like, there's not stuff I can talk about that I enjoyed. I do. At the end of the day, that kind of design of alien, super unoriginal to me. I mean, Spielberg probably revolutionized that kind of like design, and there's got to probably be some other person out there that kind of did the big black eyes and the long fingers and the 3 fingers, and they're a little touchy and they don't talk like in a way we can understand, etc. Right? And some of them are short, some of them are tall. It's kind of a weird weird vibe. I mean, I kind of like how they're very memeable. Like the way that the aliens were walking, they were like really strutting back, like that one Cartoon Network meme of the dude. Maybe Jonas will know. You throw it up if you want more work for Jonas. But no, they're just very memeable aliens. They're kind of hilarious. And again, I cannot take them too seriously, but I do kind of fuck with them. They're kind of funny. They seem like they have personality. I mean, obviously, I'd be on the side of the aliens if they were being interrogated. I'd be like, free the aliens. But I like their ship. I do kind of like generally the direction of this balance of like, what is your role as a human and being empathetic to not only your fellow human, but like listening to these aliens who I guess are coming here, like kind of like you're saying, or we were saying earlier, it's like kind of a worse version of what's the movie with Jeremy Renner, Arrival. Shout out Amy Adams.
Yes, Amy
shout
Adams.
Shout out Amy Adams. I don't know why I started with Jeremy Renner. Shout out Amy Adams all day.
The Jeremy Renner.
I don't want to shout out Jeremy Renner. But anyways, like it just seems like a worse Arrival in the way that I appreciate how Arrival holds back, but when Disclosure Day kind of leans into it at the very end, kind of lose a little bit of the magic of also like what Spielberg's I think trying to talk about is like, do you think not only how would you react, but what is your capacity for empathy and what is your faith in your fellow man or the human race for being like, I don't know, like would the world, would everyone in World War III be like, we're done here? Like this is like, we're just all going to look at our phones and we're all going to unite, or would the world descend into chaos? They don't even tell you that. They just kind of start the conversation.
That was the other thing too, is that like, okay, like this version of the world is on the brink of World War III. Okay, so like
Russia
all these
and North Korea folks,
all these nations are like, you know, the world sounds like it's about to explode. Everyone's like talking about like, okay, like nuclear bombs are going to go off everywhere. That doesn't really come into play at all in the movie. It's like, because then when the aliens thing comes out, everyone looks at their phones for a bit, but then obviously we're left to sort of interpret what happens afterward. But it's like, okay, is everyone supposed to like unite around the fact that aliens exist, or is it? Well, what's the deal here? Like, you know, this is purely like an American government thing. No one else has found
an NBC affiliate in Kansas City, Missouri. Maybe Kansas City, Kansas. We don't know.
Yeah, probably I would think Missouri.
Let's go Missouri.
I would think Missouri. I think they have the bigger affiliate. But
what do you think Patrick Mahomes was watching? His local news broadcast when that dropped?
No, he was training. He was getting his right arm exoskeleton.
Exoskeleton.
He would have gotten injured, but he's got so much money that he can replace the arm.
He got the whole implant.
He's got, you know, if alien technology exists, someone would have found it and just plugged it into Patrick Mahomes so he could continue extending and winning Super Bowls for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Speaking of course, as any evil organization in these films and these blockbusters would do, the evil corporation led by Colin Firth's character reverse engineered a bunch of the MacGuffin kind of like alien. Like,
I'm not sure that they reverse
device is that they hold, but
that's true.
Finding a way to work with it.
I'm not sure about like finding a way to work with it. I don't think they
Yeah.
reverse engineered anything. They just figured out what wasn't working, like how to hold it type of thing.
Yeah.
Because like some people are like disappearing and stuff like that. And
Seriously.
like you have to hold it and like think a certain way to like be able to like dive in. That's a big mechanic of the movie, is like diving into people. So Colin Firth like is able to get into people's minds and like, you know.
And you get it from the beginning. The movie starts with him, with Josh O'Connor putting on a glove, grabbing it, and you're kind of like, that's where it's like the strongest for me, except for the end. I do like some parts of the end, but the beginning, like it lines up this like whole world that you just jump into, and then the car chase scene happens immediately.
They don't explain anything.
Nothing,
they
dude.
jump you right into like what feels like it'd be 30 minutes into a movie. Because like, there's no exposition. It's like, okay, like these people clearly have history with each other. We have no idea what it is. Like they don't want to shoot him or anything because he has this thing in his hand that they don't want to like upset. And then he goes and then he goes off in his own direction.
Well, Disclosure Day feels like exposition, car chase, car crashes, exposition, kind of a cool scene with the train, but then car crash, crazy dude tries to kill them, doesn't try to kill them again. Like, I can never tell when this organization actually wants to take out Josh O'Connor and Emily Blunt.
They never actually take them out. That's the thing.
They have so many opportunities
things
to
that
end them.
Things that I was alluding to, you know. Well, first of all, I guess we got to talk about Emily Blunt.
The star of the entire movie.
The star of the movie.
One of her greatest performances I think I've ever seen on screen.
Yeah, she's really good.
She's amazing.
She takes, for as like seriously as like maybe I'm not taking the material, she takes the material really seriously, and she like goes like really, she commits to it. And I do admire that, because her character has to do a lot of like weird stuff. I mean, obviously the alien clicks, but also too just
Korean and Russian. Fluent Korean and Russision.
Her powers are very like nondescript too, because you like kind of learn them. There is no like visual aid for any of the powers that happens in this movie. That's another complaint I'm going to throw in there as I praise something about this movie.
Yeah. A little bit of a compliment sandwich.
Yeah. But But Emily Blunt is really good from the beginning. Yeah, because she doesn't understand what's happening to her. She's making like click sounds, and she's like doing things without thinking about them, and then doesn't remember that she's doing them. And then also she's just like traumatized by the entire experience, I think. So
My guy Wyatt Russell was not ready for that.
Yeah, Wyatt Russell
Jackson was not ready for that.
Yeah, Wyatt Russell's kind of funny. But no, there's a part in there where Emily Blunt fully kind of gets her power. She meets Josh O'Connor for the first time after the Ward X has captured him. And so then Emily Blunt reveals a new power where she starts projecting people's loved ones.
That's crazy.
Onto them. She basically takes the form of a loved one and basically says something that they would say because she knows everything about them because she's looking inside people's heads.
Yeah.
And so I guess the plan was just to disarm them all by just with pure empathy and like and
it worked
nostalgia
way too well.
And yeah, everyone just like they're like, "What are you doing? Get out of the way!" I mean, like,
was this one of the unintentionally hilarious moments in your screening? Because we had a couple of chuckleheads behind us who were loving it. I was like, "Oh my god,
absolutely!"
They're loving this.
I'm like, "What? You know that's not real." I mean, this person is not all these people, all these loved ones at the same time.
Colin Firth, bro. I'm like, you've committed your life to atrocities for 30 years and you're giving up now? Like, you're giving up once you see your dead wife? I'm sorry, you look like you both lived a long, wonderful life with each other. Is this what's going to stop your crusade?
Yeah, that's true. That's the biggest thing. It feels like the moments that this Ward X, like his agency, can actually get them.
Yeah.
Right when they have them, like in the palm of their hands. They just don't do it. They stop. There's like probably 2 or 3 moments in the entire movie where like they have them and then they stop. And again, it's
circles, dude.
It depends. The movie, your enjoyment of this movie is dependent on you buying all of those as like, oh my gosh, the empathy, wow, amazing. You know, you have to buy that. If you don't, then you're completely off board with this movie, which obviously I was. Yeah.
How much money do you think Dodge or whomever the muscle cars were coming from? Whichever company, how much did they bankroll for this? Because they went through at least 40 of these like blacked out tinted, no apparently like protection from gunshots in these windows, which seems like a huge oversight by an evil corporation.
They take like one shot at one of them when Josh O'Connor steals it.
The worst, they're stormtroopers basically. Like the way they shoot, it's just they don't make it. They don't make the target.
They just break the window immediately. I was like, okay, wow, okay. I guess you can just shoot those.
Oh man, I mean, as you can all tell, there's just so many holes we could find in this film. I do really think like. Let's center in a little bit on the final 20 minutes of the movie when Disclosure Day happens. You gotta love it when they mention the name. I was like, oh, they said Disclosure Day.
I was tempted to go. You know, I was about to do that little DiCaprio point.
DiCaprio point.
Yeah, I was doing it in my head for sure.
But like it kind of worked for me. I mean, then it gets into the weird CGI with the Hansel and Gretel scene when they're like they're kids and they're holding hands, and Josh O'Connor's younger self is freaking the fuck out, and Emily Blunt is like chill as a cucumber, bro. Like Emily Blunt is acting circles around everyone, but I don't think in a way that you have to look at it. You have like four of my favorite actors in Hollywood are all just doing their best. It's like maybe also, you know, Emily Blunt's coming off of The Smashing Machine. Like it's great to see her back in kind of like a true leading role where she's killing it. But you know, I don't know. It's like it's filled with a bunch of spectacle and videos. They don't even show like when they broadcast the aliens to the world. They don't even show the interrogation scenes. It's like they're just showing all of these like these funny ass scenes of the aliens walking and they're trying to like communicate. One of them's dead, one of them's not. And then it ends with the elder alien coming out of Coleman Domingo's back pocket. I don't know where Coleman Domingo's been holding this guy the whole time. But he just clicks a little bit in Josh O'Connor's ear and Emily Blunt. I think it's very intentional from the writers and Spielberg himself to have the movie end with listen. Because at least the more I thought about it, I'm like, okay, he's telling us to listen to each other, but it's also like, because Chris saw it before I did. And Chris was like, yeah, when you see the end of the movie, I think you'll feel a certain way about it. And I sunk into my seat because it was midnight. I was tired and I really felt a little duped. It aged a little better with me afterwards. I'm like, I could fuck with the vision, but also there's a lot of reasons I can't.
So I will say the last 15 minutes were probably my favorite part. They were like the best part of it because, okay, like when all the footage is getting released on the thing and basically all these networks are scrambling to figure out what piece of footage they're going to use. Mm-hmm. And like they're interrupting all their broadcasts where they're talking about like World War III basically.
We actually got like a newsroom scene. It's like an Aaron Sorkin newsroom scene.
Yeah, a real newsroom scene. And even like Josh O'Connor's like talking them through. Well, first of all, it was fun. That's kind of a funny part too, is that he knows how a newsroom works.
I'm like, bro barely knew how binary code worked.
8 years in federal prison for like cyber crimes. how does this guy know how a TV newsroom works and how to transmit things?
Yeah, seriously.
He just like a bunch of flash drives. I'm sorry, that's getting away from my praise.
Yeah.
I will say like the score swelling up and like people getting like newsrooms getting very overwhelmed and like everyone like all the machinations it takes to like get this footage like on screen and live. I thought that was cool. I thought that was an interesting way to show like panic in a way that's different from just everyone looking and like, oh my God, aliens. Because you see some of that too, but like just the sheer like, oh my God, look at what we have here. We need to get this out to everyone. And then there is I don't know what her name is, but the news anchor
for NBC.
The news anchor who NBC, CNN.
Throw it up, Jonas.
I forgot exactly what her name was, but she is like apparently she was a former news anchor. I saw like a Dan Moore review where he talked about that performance, and she might have the best like 5 minutes scene in the entire movie, where like she's like first trying to report objectively about she's like trying to transmit her feelings in real time. She's trying to talk about things like super objectively. Yeah. And then she just kind of like loses it and like crashes out and breaks down.
And she does the thing that all reporters do when they're going through something crazy and they still got to keep their face on. They just apologize a little bit, keep the tears in. It was actually very well acted.
But it felt very like professional.
Very real.
It felt like a professional that's like trying to do their job, but like gets so emotionally overwhelmed that they can't do it anymore. Yeah. It didn't feel like a typical like news anchor performance in a movie where they're gonna ham it up or something. You can tell they haven't done the job before. Like she's actually done the job, and it felt like she played it how she would have played it if it was real. Yeah. So I definitely think maybe my favorite, like in terms of like lightning in a bottle type of thing, maybe my favorite performance of the whole movie. Never would have thought that like a character that just shows up on screen the last 10 minutes would be my favorite, but that might be my favorite.
Yeah, not even in the top 5 or 6 actors on any IMDb page or Letterboxd review. But I mean, I'll say listen to Chris for his review. It's time to hear what you're thinking on your number. I was really trying to tie that in, but I'm just going to hand it over to you. What did you feel about Disclosure Day at the end of it with a number score?
Yeah, so I mean, I if you can't tell, I've been very brutal. I've been very hard on this movie.
Brutal guy.
So I think before the end scene, I would have given it 2 stars. Woo! But I think the end dug it out for me enough to where I could go 2.5. I'm not sure. Because every time I kept thinking about it, my rating kept going down.
Yeah.
But I think 2.5 is where I'm gonna put it. I think it's a well-made movie. So some of the effects are a little wonky. Like the stuff with the deer and the flashback and the snow. I was like, that looks like an old time like Coca-Cola ad.
And you can't think about Hansel and Gretel any differently after seeing Obsession. Now I just can't. I was like, this looks exactly like Hansel and Gretel. I don't want to think about it.
That's true. But like some of the sequences, it's going to be a well shot movie. Other than that, some really good performances, but at the end of the day, the story just kind of didn't feel like it lined up in like a structural way, and also just like a societal way. Like it just, for me, it's just a very outdated concept for a movie. You gotta you gotta go back more into the oven and cook that up. One up a little bit more,
or build a time machine and go back in time.
Build a time machine and go back, or and drop this movie in 1990, and people would love that.
And make $1 trillion.
People would love that movie. Yeah. So I mean, I'm gonna be really hard on it because I think every other Spielberg movie I've seen, I've liked. Again, I haven't seen the whole catalog or anything like that. I still got definitely some more to see. This is probably the worst Spielberg movie that I have seen personally. So 2.5 out of 5 for me.
And Chris, I'm not going to be too far off of you. I will be a little kinder to it because I think the shots in the film, the really good ones from Spielberg, are really like, that's why you go to a film that he directs for your summer blockbuster. Y'all, I'm finishing at a 3 out of 5 stars for Disclosure Day. I don't want to repeat a ton of what Chris just said, but I will harp in on there is still elements of this that feel very Spielberg, very much like I know this will resonate with the right audience. I do not think anyone our age or younger, not anyone, but there's a large portion of people that I've seen on Letterboxd, the 2, the 3-star reviews I've seen, that just I resonate with more because it's just a decent movie at the wrong time, with a couple of legends of the game, of the sport, of cinema, giving it what they got. And I don't know, it's just kind of tough. Like I think we have to be like, you got to be critical about films like this to be real with people. It's like, yeah, obviously this didn't hit for us for X, Y, and Z reasons. But there is still some stuff to like. If you do like alien films, if you like the extraterrestrial, like we got a much better film this year dealing with aliens with a much more creative way, Project Hail Mary. Several extraterrestrial S in the last decade that are far more interesting than Disclosure Day. But I guess if you see it in 70 millimeter at Pacific Place, like go enjoy summer blockbuster. That probably looks a little better in 70 mil, but even then, I mean, not a fan of the color grading, underutilized performances, but am a fan of the reporting the last 20 minutes, and obviously Emily Blunt carries hard in this film. So for those reasons, and all my love to Spielberg in his final couple movies, giving it a 3 out of 5. Hope to see something a little better for maybe the last one.
I would say a better Spielberg movie that's been released in this decade, the remake of West Side Story.
Oh, shout out.
West Side Story, that's one of my favorite Spielberg movies. It might be my favorite Spielberg movie, I'll be honest with you. I really, really liked it. If you're a fan of musicals, I think, and you haven't seen it, I think you would like it. Yeah, I gave that 4.5 stars. That's like Rachel Zegler's that's kind of what put her on the scene.
Killing it.
Mike Feist from Challengers, that's the other half of the Challengers now. They both worked with Steven Spielberg. He's really good in that movie. The musical numbers are spectacular. So I would say if you want to watch, if you're going to go by my recommendations only, I'd say I'd watch that. I'd watch stay and watch West Side Story instead of watching Disclosure Day. That's just me personally.
And it's not a movie I've seen, but I've heard some people really like The Fabelmans. Had to be reminded of the name earlier, but shout out The Fabelmans too.
That's the name.
Neither of us have seen it.
Again,
I'm shouting out something I've never seen.
You can roast me all you want for all the Spielbergs I haven't seen. Okay, this one I didn't like. So yeah.
But obviously, we hope you keep making movies, Steve, if I call you Steve. But yeah, happy to go see a Spielberg movie while he's still making them. But after this short break, you've made it to the final half of the episode. We're going to talk about Toy Story 5, the next summer blockbuster up on the list. Back with you after this short break. And we're back, Chris, to talk about Toy Story 5. Can you believe there's 5 of these now? It's actually insane. You saw Toy Story 2 recently. It's goated. I think
watched
our favorite.
I watched all of them. I'll talk a little bit about that later.
We'll end with that.
We'll
end with that. But yeah, we've made it to Toy Story 5. Y'all, again, shout out Spidey Ty on Instagram, TikTok, whenever you want to check out the boy. Tyler Bowie, once again, inviting us to an early screening of Toy Story 5, directed by Andrew Stanton, McKenna Harris, written by the same two. Starring a lot of your pals, man. Tom Hanks, Woody, Tim Allen as Buzz, Joan Cusack. I've tried this 4 times. We're just going to run with that one. As Jessie, Conan O'Brien as Smarty Pants, our guy. We worship the church of Conan O'Brien.
That's the GOAT.
And Greta Lee as Lilypad, the kind of antagonist of this film, I guess, kind of like in his own vein. We're going to get into that in the spoiler section probably. But I think it's safe to say that we both enjoyed this movie significantly more than Disclosure Day. Got to give some more credit to how Pixar knows how to leverage these Toy Story movies. I mean, I would tell you right now, walking in, I didn't think we needed a 5th one, but walking out, I'm like, I don't want a 6th one. But
give me a 6th one.
Thank you. I mean,
Why
Tyler
not?
Bowie and his boy really do want the 6th, 7th, and 8th. But I'm going to throw it over to you, Chris. What do you think, and what do you want to talk to the people about, non-spoiler, for Toy Story 5? Did you like it? Liked it?
I really enjoyed it. I think it was a lot of fun. Obviously, in the trailer, they talk about the whole conceit is that an iPad, basically, a kid's iPad, comes into the room, and then she starts playing with it, and everyone gets sucked into the tech universe and stuff like that, and they don't focus on the toys as much. So it's them trying to figure out how to deal with Lilypad and computers and screens and phones and stuff. And it's very interesting that they just do that all at once in this movie. They don't really even allude to it in the other movies, even though in 2019 when the last one came out, phones were obviously a very prevalent thing. Just that they wanted to put all that commentary into this one, and I think for the most part it works. I think. There's arguments you could make on the more extreme side, I guess, that it could be like an ad for tech. I could see someone saying oh yeah, you're trying to spin tech in positive light, but I think it does a good job of handling the nuance of yes, looking at your screens all the time is bad and it looks bad. There's a lot of times where the toys are when they're doing action stuff and they need to chase through the houses and stuff.
You look into the windows, right?
One of the main things of the first 4 movies is that people would always be looking. So you'd have to make sure you drop in place and freeze so that the humans don't know that the toys move. This time they didn't have to worry about that because all the humans are looking at screens and they can run straight to the house.
They don't care.
And nobody notices.
Homie's dad did not care. He was on Zoom.
He was
messing
with
the Zoom background. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Jeff?
Which is very funny.
Incredible.
But at the same time, it sort of goes to show that it tries to make the argument that tech is sort of a neutral thing. Again, that's a little bit of a flimsy argument.
Coming soon to you on Disney Plus. Toy Story 5.
At the same time, it's sort of connected Bonnie with other people and stuff like that. That's kind of where they try to put the nuance in. But at the same time, again, beyond like the whole tech discussion, what you think about it, I just think it's a very fun movie. I think you really like the art style of when they go into
storytelling mode, or like when
storytelling mode, or when like
toys.
playtime mode.
Yeah,
playtime mode where like
they're
they're playing with the toys, and they're trying, and the Bonnie and our other characters trying to make up storylines and stuff like that. I think that's like the best part of the movie. And then Buzz Lightyear. Again,
to infinity and beyond, baby.
Maybe we'll get into, maybe not spoilers just yet, but
we'll get there in a sec.
But Buzz Lightyear, Tim Allen's got a lot of work to do in this one, and I think he does a really good job. It's interesting to see also too, because Jessie is kind of the main leader of the pack, because Woody sort of, I mean, obviously Tom Hanks is still in the movie,
right?
But Woody kind of makes the decision to like go with Bo Peep and rescue lost toys.
Number 4 was his movie.
Number
for that
4 was his
reason.
movie. He's like, okay, like I'm gonna like move on from this being owned by an owner thing, and I'm just gonna go out and help Bo Peep with stuff, because he loves Bo Peep. And now it's just left to Jessie and the rest and Buzz to like manage all these toys and like make sure that Bonnie's happy and stuff like that. So Jessie really takes it on herself in this one to stand up to Lilypad and like see what's going on with that. So
true.
Interesting dynamics, I would say.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll start by saying that I came in with astronomically low expectations, but a great joy to watch another Toy Story film with many of my closest friends. It is something that I didn't think at the very beginning caught me at all. I really think in the first 20, 30 minutes of this film, I was a little worried that I was really going to have to hate on this a little bit. I saw it before Disclosure Day. So it lined up. At least
that's right.
Did you watch it before Disclosure Day?
No, it was after. I watched it the morning after Disclosure Day.
So I'm sitting here thinking that I'm going to enjoy Disclosure Day later in the day better than I liked Toy Story 5 at the very beginning. And of course, like many things in life, you can't predict, and it flips on its head. And by the end of the movie, it's completely enthralled me with its genuinely distinct art style that Pixar is trying to really show you like what a kid's imagination and how beautiful that can be. And they really go hard on that. And a lot, we even get voices for some characters who don't get voices in these movies. And they had a little bit of fun with that as well. I think the music always hits. The music continues to hit. You Got a Friend in Me doesn't have to pop up for me to just know that, it's the type of film score that gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling inside. I didn't think I was going to cry in this movie until the very end when I started tearing up. The scene. We'll get into it in spoilers near the tree. But man, what a beautiful film that I did not think I was going to enjoy as much as I did by the very end. The performances are really good. You already hit on Tim Allen, Joan Cusack. I was going to say, anyways, I was going to mention someone that is crazy. But Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is pulling his own weight in this. Like a lot of our elder actors in the industry, I'm like, how many more of these do they have in them? It'd be great if they just ended with this one, because they did something with the Lilypad and commentary on tech and kids screen time that was honestly pretty unique. And I really enjoyed them still centering a lot of this around Bonnie, the child from episode 3 and 4, or just 4. I call them episode 3 and 4 like a Star Wars film.
So Toy Story 3 is when Andy gives the exchanges and gives them to Bonnie, and like this is who they are, and sort of. And then 4 is like a Bonnie movie. This is obviously a Bonnie movie.
Yeah, Bonnie is a great follow up to the Andy like trilogy, and like not even a full trilogy. It's like that is like you said, it's like the transition movie, and then ending like where I didn't think they were going to take it anywhere after what I thought was already one of the better animated films of that year, Toy Story 3. The end of that film, crazy, left me in tears, shaking for fear, and by the end, I'm in tears for different reasons, right? I just didn't think they had it in them, and Pixar still has it in them. I think this is like one of those rare franchises that I think they and any other movie group that's going to go out and produce multiple of like a thing like a Jurassic Park. Don't ever give me another Jurassic Park. It's over. But I'm like, oh, fuck, they're really making me feel like I want another Toy Story, because they're proving to me that they can create new, fun, vignette type stories that focus on different characters that are part of the main crew. So before, as you can tell, I'm kind of stumbling over my words because I want to get into some spoilers. Chris, where would you like to get us started with spoilers?
I'm going to get started with spoilers on the best B plot probably of any of the Toy Story movies.
Talk about
because the opening scene is they're like on there's like a cargo ship on like some abandoned island. It's obviously like crash landed there.
Yeah.
And the cargo ship is full of the new model of Buzz Lightyear. Basically like the high-tech buzzes. I don't know if they ever give them a name.
They're Wi-Fi enabled.
They are Wi-Fi hotspot enabled buzzes. They fly.
They fly now.
They fly now. And so basically one of them wakes up and he's got like a nice like LED display interface.
Yeah.
And he wakes up all the other ones, and together they form a raft to get off of this like abandoned desert.
Star Command.
Yeah. And there's like a giant star in the sky, and they're all like Star Command, Star Command. And it's very interesting. Like they do this obviously a lot in Toy Story, the plot of the first Toy Story is obviously that Buzz needs to be convinced that he's a toy and he's not the real Buzz Lightyear. Toy Story 2 is where our first Buzz has to convince actually there's another Buzz in that movie that never gets convinced that he is not a toy. But he does figure out that like Zurg is his father, which is very funny.
Wait, can we just like, because I feel like we're gonna forget about it. We got to mention the post-credit scene of this film is incredible. Best post-credit scene in any Toy Story.
We're just gonna go through the whole B plot right now.
Do it,
so it's
going.
like, so the Buzzes eventually find, because Star Command they deduce is Jessie, because Jessie's wearing like a star on her. Obviously, like, a star badge.
There's the deputy star thing that her and Buzz are going through.
And so I forgot exactly how they stumble upon that when they see that, but basically they're looking for the star in Star Command. And so they find Jessie, so they find the rest of the gang, and they help all these toys get back to Bonnie eventually because they all fly, and so they can fly everyone to where they need to go.
They're all just drones that Disney's going to sell at their parks very soon.
And then Buzz gives everyone the lowdown that he he figured out from Toy Story 2 that Zurg is Buzz's father.
Yeah.
And so he tells them all at once, like, Zurg's our dad. That is so funny. And they all just like get down on the ground. So he basically
what does he say at the very end? He references it perfect. This is what's so good about Toy Story 5. The references are not slop. They're very earned, and they show continuity between all 5 movies over 30 years.
Exactly. The continuity is like what? Like, and then the Zurg shows up at the end of the post-credit scene. First of all, the Buzzes donate themselves. They fly down to all these kids and the teachers that are down there. So everyone's got this new high-tech Wi-Fi hotspot enabled Buzz for free.
Yeah.
And then Zurg, he pops out of one of the backpacks. He's like, "We meet again, my son."
No.
That was so funny. That was hilarious.
This is a hilarious movie.
Yeah.
It's a funny movie. It's written very well. I'd say like that B plot is incredible. I think I just love, honestly, everything to do with Buzz in this. Let's talk a little bit about Tim Allen's performance as Buzz with his romance with Jessie. Like, that is another continuation from 3 and 4, or just 4. But obviously Buzz is
2
developed.
Also a little bit.
Oh my God.
Okay, so
20 years of payoff, bro.
Here's what I will say about 2 is which I didn't realize. Again, I was not fresh on these movies. Woody and Jessie are like implied love interests in Woody's Roundup, which is the show that they used to be on as like puppets and stuff like that. But then the movie immediately, to its credit, like makes the turn to like, oh no, they're just friends. They're brother and sister. Like, Woody it's established he's really into Bo Peep, and they keep that together. And then now Buzz is interested in Jessie, and basically through like 3 movies, he is like extremely socially awkward and is like does not want to tell like he's just super like nervous and like awkward around Jessie, and
like the entire from the minute the movie begins,
from the moment that Jessie,
A plot begins,
even from the moment that Jessie shows up in Andy's room at Toy Story 2, extremely awkward, and then 3 and 4 he tries to like inch closer to it, and then 5, that's when they really like do the payoff of like, he's gonna like propose and he's gonna do the thing, and they're gonna get married and all this stuff.
We get an on-screen wedding ceremony and a smooch between 2 of your favorite Toy Story characters, which I honestly filled my heart.
I never thought they would. It was such a smooth payoff to that. The fact that they took 4 movies to do it, basically, very commendable. But I'm glad that they paid that out, because that was a big character point between the 2 of them.
I mean, dude, I didn't even think, like, going over to the lily pad conversation too. Shout out Greta Lee. Probably the best movie Greta Lee's been in the last 6 months. That is a shot at Tron Ares.
I was about to say, it's funny. I'm sure that they're like, hey, if you do Tron, we'll put you in Toy Story.
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah.
Greta Lee's chill. Shout out Greta. We love Greta. Yeah. She's fine. I mean, there's like not a whole lot I think you can mess up with that. But again, the moment I saw it was an iPad on all of these posters. I'm like, honestly, I'm rolling my eyes. I'm kind of having my old man moment. I'm like, oh yeah, sure. They're moving on to the iPads. But man, did they kind of land it for me. And the lily pads being kind of like a kid version, like one of those like Kindles like you give to kids. It's like a parent like protection zone, but it's also like you can connect with your homies, but she's got to be still in elementary school, or maybe it's got to be in elementary school.
They play little like frog and turtle games
with her friends, but it's like lily pad. Like, I love where the lily pad conversation goes, because it's like lily pad thinks she's doing what's best for Bonnie, but of course by the end you realize that these superficial, only on the internet relationships are not good for the development of kids. And that's like a really strong like message this film has, is like, you're saying, I still like agree with you that it kind of teeters a bit too much on the like tech is good, toys are good, because at the end of the day that just gives, I just can't help but look at it in my older years about being like Disney is trying to sell all this shit.
Yeah.
But also, you know, in moments like that, I'm like, I'm just gonna appreciate that for what it is. And she low-key is like, I'm gonna donate myself because I feel like I've really messed up Bonnie's life from the bullying she's going through right now.
I think that's a good way. You articulated probably what I wanted to say, so I'm glad you said that. Because the fact that that lily pad is sentient and like thinks about like all the toys and
Use
even
the little like
even
fingers to like
even
move around.
I know.
Crazy.
Even like the tech is like she's sentient and she's like,
she knows
oh,
code.
I've done a bad job. Like from a character perspective, I liked that. It was like okay, like I can do everything. I can cut off messages here. I can send this here so that she goes there, sort of thing. Like she's got a lot of power, but like she realizes that she should not be doing it that way. That like there's a better way to like use her technological abilities.
And
to,
that's
like,
what she.
help
Can I call you
Bonnie
Jessica?
to help Bonnie make friends.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the best like nuance of the whole thing.
One of her best friends she'll probably have for life or for a long time.
Blaze.
At the very end of, shout out Blaze.
Blaze, yeah.
In Jesse's old owners. What was Jesse's old owners? Emily's old house. Like
Emily's old house,
didn't think that was gonna work for me, and it fucking worked, man. By the end,
yeah,
dude.
I think
it was
it
beautiful.
did. Yeah, when they find the lunchbox with where Emily's a mom, and it's like she has a
her
daughter
kid
and
after
stuff.
Jesse.
Named the kid Jesse. I was like, wow, that was really good.
Because it also tricks you into thinking that she's thinking that of course the humans still don't know that the toys can do this. But like. It like tricked me into thinking like, are we gonna do something weird with like, oh yeah, I always knew you were alive? No, it's as wholesome as it could have been, and Jessie can also like appreciate it unintentionally, like that love that is passed down through the generations and the loves you can have for like these toys and like your childhood that you create attachments to as you grow older. No, I just wanted to center in on like that scene with Jessie and the emotional payoff of being at the tree, seeing Jessie was here. And just seeing like Emily named her closest person in her life probably after the toy that almost raised her, vice versa. Many years ago now, like, I mean, we did get limericks or shades of Emily in Toy Story 2.
That is another callback to Toy Story 2 because that is the flashback. There's like a song that goes with, I think it's like by Sarah McLachlan that plays over
Peak Sarah McLachlan.
Yeah. I'm not sure if that won the Oscar. I feel like it was nominated at least for best original song, but that goes over like the entire montage of when she's like played with and then she's like dumped under the bed and then was donated and then she drives
and then
away.
They move away. Yeah.
So they recreate
a callback in this.
Yeah,
film.
they recreate some of those scenes in this movie, and then she gets the opportunity to actually go back to the house, and then
beautiful.
You've realized that like she's been tagged and Emily's got an address on her, which the old people I believe, like aren't they accidentally picked up by old people, and then she's like, over there.
That's again. It's funny because sometimes a plot cannot be perfect. That was kind of hilarious because it's also very Pixar movement. Because I feel like Pixar really has been missing like old people, like real old people, just being like doing funny old people shit. Where obviously they don't have jobs and they're just like driving around. Like, yeah, we should go return to this. To what the address was inside the boot.
Yeah.
Got a snake in my boot. I kind of want to talk a little bit about the animation. I mean, this is an animated film from one of America's top animation studios. We're coming off a big year for anime, but I'm not going to lie, I haven't seen a lot of anime that looks as inventive this year as Pixar kind of made the decision to go with like kind of this like, would you call it like a watercolor style, like painting, like a Picasso style?
Yeah, it's like a
painting?
watercolor thing for sure.
Yeah, very
for
cool.
For like the playtime scenes. Yeah.
But let's counteract it with something that honestly had to hurt the movie a little bit inevitably. I thought it was my greatest fear going into the movie. I haven't seen any Pixar film, I think, that I would have cared about as much as a Toy Story 5 since AI slop became incredibly prevalent in our society, especially Pixar and like Ghibli movie AI slop. And I really got to say, the parents look terrible. All of the adults in this movie look absolutely awful. I think Pixar, you've got to approach and like lean into what you just did with the like, take it from little old me, someone who cannot animate on anything. But it really didn't touch with me because it sucks because I think the Pixar designs that have lasted 3 decades are both losing a little bit of appeal, kind of like how the alien stuff with Disclosure Day, but then you tack it on top of like, I got older family members, you got random people on the internet just like making themselves Pixar characters. It's all I could see when I looked into the eyes of those parents, who are also not my favorite part of the film, but they kind of have a funny little moment at the end anyways. So
yeah, Hoppers has a little bit of that same problem too. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
The human characters in Pixar are clearly the least like unique.
They're not
unique
unique
now
anymore. And it feels kind of messed up to say because, of course, Pixar invented this big eye style, very expressive faces. But there was also this sheen over their like entire skin that looked way too plasticky. Like they themselves kind of look like a toy would look out and about. So But I just want to throw that in because I want to get back to glazing a little bit. I really, it's incredible that Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, and Joan Cusack can come back after all these years and still give like inspired performances as probably top 3 of each one of their most like famous characters, live action or in animation. Did you like all of the stuff with Woody getting interspliced? It's kind of funny. Bo Peep's like, we're gonna have a girls' day. They zoom off, they fuck off, and then Tom Hanks is there, giving us his old bald self, baby.
I like the fact that it's kind of the passing of the torch. You kind of need that in a series that's gone so long. It's that Woody was like Andy's main toy, and then when Andy's gone, it took a little bit, but then like Jessie became Bonnie's main toy
too.
So it was that type of thing. I like that like evolution of like, okay, someone else is like taking the lead now from that. And so like Woody as a support character, I will admit was like, it was funny. The moment I was thinking, oh wow, we haven't seen Woody yet, is the moment that Woody comes in. So I think
they did a good job at that.
The movie sort of perfectly structured itself to where it's like, oh yeah, I forgot that Woody is still around.
And he's saving someone from a suicide attempt. I'm sorry.
He's saving Maddie Matheson as a little toy peanut guy.
He was like, I can't, because there's a lot of existential dread with the toys because like the tech is taking over.
Their tech is taking over. He's like, wow. He's getting like super nervous about it, and he's he's basically crashing out over the entire thing.
Yeah.
And then you see a lot of stuff where like Jessie finds the like Gen 1 tech things, little tiny electronics.
Let's get into Smarty Pants
territory. Let's get into Conan O'Brien. First of all, okay, I gotta tee it up. I know that Ernie Hudson takes the place of Carl Weathers as Combat Carl, I think.
Carl, yeah.
And so R.I.P. Carl Weathers.
R.I.P. man.
And then Craig Robinson is Atlas, the little GPS tool. I'm trying to figure out who the other
Shaw?
No, that's Trixie. That's Trixie. That's the dinosaur.
Tony Hill's back as Forky.
Yeah. But I will say, okay, Conan O'Brien, a Smarty Pants,
top
5 stars, 5 out of 5.
Top 5
it's incredible.
Funniest Pixar characters ever.
It's just Conan, and I love Conan. I love the Conan's like antics, and he's basically just doing Conan antics, but as a potty training toy.
You said you think he wrote his own lines. I would believe it.
It just sounds like he like a Conan O'Brien travel show or like a Conan O'Brien like skit on like a late night thing.
Yeah.
Where he's just up to no good. He's just like saying just random shit.
Yeah.
And it's all funny. And he's like really getting into the delivery. Like he
is as animated as they animate him.
Yeah,
as
exactly.
Smarty Pants. And you gotta love that they made him a poop machine.
Poop machine. It's a
potty trained machine.
It's almost like Conan himself requested that he would be a potty training poop machine, and so he can make a bunch of poop jokes. But they were really funny. That's the thing, is like his comedy style is like, on the surface it looks very like depraved and like very simplistic and stupid.
Sad Irishman.
But it's way smarter and more intelligent than like the setup gives it credit for. Because the thing is, like in the hands of a lesser actor or even studio or like writing team, those poop jokes are terrible. A lot of times they are the worst jokes in any movie by far.
Can I ask you, do you think this is the first time a poop joke has landed in one of these animated films for both the adults and the kids?
Oh yeah.
Because the place was rocking.
The place was great because like for the kids, you haven't heard that many poop jokes yet.
Yeah. So
you're going to laugh at the poop joke.
Yeah.
But then you get me and you, and with Conan,
we were hysterically
laughing. And you hear a poop joke, I was like, man, I was laughing my ass off. It's just like Hoppers. There were some times there's no poop jokes in Hoppers, but like there are some jokes in there I was just laughing my ass off. So I think Pixar's 2 for 2 on movies where I laugh my ass off at certain points. So I think the comedy is really like sort of caught up in a lot of ways to like modern adults too, because like I think it recognizes that a lot of the kids that watch the early Toy Stories are now adults, and so the comedy
the Andes
sort of changed. Like the Gen Zers are now, and the millennials are now grown up and like need some more different comedy that just didn't exist back in the day. So like a little more internet humor, more like because Conan is like a product of the internet at this point. So
Conan needs a friend. Tap in.
Conan O'Brien needs a friend. Conan O'Brien must go.
We haven't mentioned the most inspired scene yet involving Conan O'Brien when they literally gave him his hairdo.
They gave him his hair. I
was about to stand up if I wasn't surrounded by a bunch of children and just give a rounding applause.
Yeah.
I should have done it. My God. We were hysterically laughing, guys. Like I want to like try to convey this more, but like when y'all get a chance to watch it, or hopefully you've watched it and you haven't listened to all these spoilers. But I mean, that's another thing. This movie is really strong for like a kind of an unpredictable end. Like it really gained so much steam after the first third. I don't even really fully hate the first third. It just felt a bit more generic Pixar to me. And then you toss in a lot of the things with the new designs and the great voice acting and the Conan O'Brien and a great A and B plot with both kind of not even a full villain like a Lotso, but lily pad stuff is working for me. The every time they shoot off to these Buzz Lightyears going around in the sky, and like I was telling you, it really reminded me of some like 1960s, 70s like old Godzilla movie as movie music that's really like triumphant, and you can feel like they're an army, like they're on a mission, and it's just all comes together to be really fun for the whole fam, man.
Yeah, and then the Bonnie and Blaze the playtime thing where Conan gets his hair and all this stuff. There's like this they come up with this elaborate plot where like, there's like spy stuff and secret agent things. Yeah. And then Bullseye happens to be like the twist villain of the whole thing, and he is voiced by Alan Cumming. So he's voiced by
Alan Cumming.
Yeah, that's Alan Cumming. So like Bullseye gets in that skit, gets awesome. A voice for just the one and only time, and I thought it was hilarious. Yeah, everything
he kills it.
Everything about the playtime scenes, probably like the best little sequences, pockets of the movie. I think both for style and for substance, because it makes you feel like like you're really. I think that's one thing that all the Toy Story movies have done really well in their own ways since the second one, where, like the playtime scenes where like they're acting out the scenarios, they're doing the scenarios, and like they make them feel like real.
Yeah.
Because in the second Toy Story, Buzz goes to the Zurg planet and like guns down a bunch of Zurg bots, and then he eventually gets gunned down by Zurg because Rex is playing the Buzz Lightyear video game and can't beat Zurg. Then Toy Story 3, they reenact the scene from the first Toy Story, but just in more like in an actual environment where like it's
in
a
modern
Western
context.
It's a Western, but then like Slinky has a force field and Rex eats force field dogs, and like Pig is a giant like giant like super powered armored blimp. And that was great too. I'm trying to think if Toy Story 4 has an equivalent of that. I can't really remember.
So I'm going to say Toy Story 4 probably one of the least memorable, but still a good movie of the five.
That's the thing. It's the least
probably
good.
Number 5 for me.
It's not a bad movie. Yeah, it's the least good of the 5. We can rank the Toy Stories after this, but anyways, like the playtime scenes, when I can remember them, they're like very, very strong. And I think this one is no different. It looks a little different this time. Which
looks a little different, and like different in a great way, as we said many times. But movie ends with Bonnie and Blaze as best friends, and my heart full, and had a grin on my face. I didn't think I thought it was gonna carry through to later in the night, and I'm happy. I'm sad to report, obviously, as you all know, it didn't carry through, but I'm happy to have experienced in the moment. Would love to see Toy Story 5 again when it has a general release here after we're recording this. Chris, tell the people, where's your rating?
Man, I'm really teetering between 4 and 4.5. I'm really talking myself into 4.5.
Same, bro. Same. Is it crazy?
So I might need to do that. I don't think it's crazy. Again, like you said, it comes off to a bit of a slow start. Like the initial conceit is a little janky. But once it allows itself to have fun, and really once Conan gets into the movie, then I'm like, okay, now I'm on board.
Because I feel you. I was at a certain point. I'm like, where is this man? I've heard he's in this. Where is he?
Because it's a lot of like them kind of. It's a little depressing, being like, okay, like tech is taking over. All these lost toys are like man, this sucks and all this other stuff. But then when they get to Conan and like the Gen 1 tech stuff, and then just Conan being Conan and interacting with all the characters, I was like. I think that's kind of, he's really like the spark plug of the rest of the movie. I would say he's like the most like, he just ignites the whole rest of the movie, and then everything else just kind of works around it with the B-plot buzzes, the high-tech buzzes coming in. A lot of it works for me.
I mean, even shout out like the way they talk about like tech moving on so quickly. They were like, how long did you spend with your kid? And they're like 3 months. The Conan O'Brien Gen 1 tech gals and boys are just like, we only knew her for 3 months, but we still love her.
That's true. They barely saw her.
Yeah.
Whereas like, that's true. The toys have a lot of experience because their kids grew up in like the 80s and 90s and stuff like that.
90s. Yeah.
That's the other thing I like too. Again, we've touched on this a little bit, but like, Woody was Andy's toy. Andy was a very like outgoing kid. It seemed like they never really showed him struggling making friends, because it didn't seem. And he seems like when he becomes like a teenager,
like a charismatic dude.
When he goes off to college, he seems like very well adjusted, like to everything. But Bonnie obviously is like extremely shy. She like needs, like the company. She needs like the escape that like the toys give her, and so like. The struggle for both her and both the movies is like, okay, like I can't make any friends.
Right.
And like the technology, like you think it helps her at first and then it hurts her, but then it like tries to like help her again, sort of thing. So it's just the continuing struggle of like Bonnie like trying to make a friend, and then like she makes a friend at the end. I was like, damn, that's so nice. Yeah,
man. Chris, I think I did it. I'm gonna say with the stipulation, it's a 4.5 out of 5.
Okay, I thought you were gonna say 5.
I gotta go on Letterboxd, and I gotta change it because I came out of it. You remember I said 3.5, and I was like, oh no, it's a 4, and then I was like, oh baby, I kind of love this film. It's one of the better films we've seen this year. I think
we've talked ourselves into 4.5s.
I mean, it's very impressive. That was a large bug. Hope you all got to see that on the camera. But no, I really do think like the B, like I just keep thinking about that damn B plot and how fun and creative and hilarious it is. And the references are great. The A plot is really smart. Like you get to see Bonnie kind of have like a close on character development. This is what I will say. I will come back for you, Pixar, if you ever make a 6th one of these. This has to be the last one. This was perfect way to end the series. Buzz and Jessie are getting married. Bonnie made a friend. My boy Woody's going back to living his great life with Bo Peep. Like everyone kind of seems like they're in a good, healthy place. And I don't think there's any other technology in the world right now that could give you a reason to make. I mean, I don't want to see this with AI. Like the kids with the tablets, that's a great way to make an excuse to make a 5th one and then make a really good 5th movie. So I'm going to settle on a 4.5 out of 5. Y'all have heard why we love it. But anything else to say before we get into the rankings?
Other thing that I was just thinking about was a part of the B plot, the Buzz. I thought it was really funny when they're in the forest and they're still trying to look for Star Command.
Yeah.
And then they all like see a human, so they all have to duck. Well, also the first thing too is like earlier on in the cargo ship, the cargo like area, they all drop because, and then they didn't realize like, why did we drop? You know, they don't know why they're self-aware. They're self-aware. They don't know why they dropped because they're like, okay, we learned that we have to drop for humans.
For real.
But then in the forest when those people are like camping, they're like trying to get to their campsite and they find one of the Buzzes.
Oh, amazing.
He's like, no. He's like, don't leave.
It's like Saving Private Ryan.
It's like
no.
Yeah. He's like getting like abducted. But then later on, they're like, they see the parents are reading to the kids and the thing. It's a very nice moment. And then the Buzz is like,
the toys are just such sweeties. I would love for any of these toys to babysit my future children if I ever have any. And I'm just like, my God, let's give them let's get like Tyler Bowie had in his bag. Let's give him Buzz. Let's give him Jessie. Let's give him Woody. My God, Pixar, you did it. Shout out Toy Story 5. Chris, what are your top 5? What's your rankings here? And where's Toy Story 5 end for you on your rankings?
Let's see. So I would go.
I'm gonna let you carry because I got no opinion on this. I'm just gonna say 2 is number 1. You've seen them all, so let's go with yours.
So over the last week I watched all the Toy Stories again, and I would say, I'd probably say 4 is like the least good. Yeah. Again, I'm not gonna say the worst. I'm just gonna say it's the least good. Then I'd probably go. I mean, this is a tough one because I do like 5. I think because of recency bias, I'm gonna put 1.
Okay.
The first one at number 4. Yeah. I'm going to put 5.
All due respect to the OG.
I'm going to put 5 at number 3.
Okay.
Toy Story 5, the one we just saw, number 3. Then I'm going to put Toy Story 3 at number 2. And then the undisputed number 1 is Toy Story 2.
The GOAT. Yeah. The GOAT is Toy Story 2 Toy Story for 2. Life.
I said in my most recent Letterboxd review of it, if I had to name 4 favorites when I was 7, Toy Story 2 would be like 1, 2, 3, 4. I remember I watched this like all the time. I remember the DVD, I kind of wore that one out.
Yeah. That's what you need to do with the DVD. Don't let it sit. Use your DVDs.
It's one of the best like sequels ever made. Probably it's definitely better than the first one, and the first one again is pretty good. But yeah, it's just like a perfect like kids movie, in my opinion, and you really can't touch it.
Can't touch
I mean, again, all these Toy Story movies are solid, but I think that's just the best one.
Yeah,
man. Maybe 3 has the best like emotional scene.
Oh my God!
Obviously, when Andy gives. Gives all his toys to Bonnie.
Even when they're in the trash compactor, I'm freaking out. I'm like, am I about to see my childhood die in front of me? And do they have the guts to do it? But then the final scene hits, and you're like, wow, this is what life is. This is what life is worth living for.
Yeah,
our Toy Story movies. Who would have guessed? Man. Well, it's brought us to the end of a very long episode. I think we saw 2 movies of varying quality. Go check them out yourself. I'd recommend both. I'd be like, go check them out. Why not? You don't have to recommend Disclosure Day. I'd give it a light recommend.
Yeah,
maybe don't watch it after like 9 p.m.
You could form your own opinion of it for sure. I mean, yeah,
you might doze off.
You could say that I'm completely wrong. I mean, that's fine.
And that's fine. And that is why we have a podcast on the internet, Chris. And later this month, I'm excited. I think we're going to probably try to talk about Leviticus. We got Supergirl. We got The Invite. And then July, my God, talking about more superheroes, Spider-Man. And then, of course, The Odyssey.
The Odyssey, I'm probably going to watch that movie like 5 times. Not because...
Hey, comment below if you're watching this and you're one of our homies that we've seen The Odyssey with, because he's going to see it 5 times. I'll probably see it 3 or 4 times.
I'm seeing it. I'm guaranteed right now, I'm seeing it 3 times. I'm seeing it 3 days in a row. Okay,
Let's make it 4 days. We're gonna make it 4 days in a row.
All at SIF downtown 70.
No, you're doing 70 millimeter all 3 days.
3 times.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
3 times.
That's 3 months of AMC A-list right there. Just
really-
going straight
it really
into
is.
SIF's pocket, which we would support.
That's the
Support
thing.
local
That's the thing.
cinemas,
I
baby.
feel good about dropping.
Hey, one more for the local support,
There you
baby.
go.
Support your
Yeah.
local businesses.
Yeah, I mean the fact that SIF is bringing back bringing more 70 and 35 millimeter when they announced that on Instagram, I saw that. I was like, we need that, especially since we lost the Boeing IMAX theater
it's a direct
to tourism
answer to it.
Yeah, basically to
tourism for
the
real,
Space
dude.
Needle. I mean, we mentioned it, I think the last episode too.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that they're bringing, we need that.
We'll tag you,
So
Sif.
I'm glad.
We'll tag you with our thanks.
I'm glad. Hopefully, we see more of those screenings for like new releases too in the next few months. But yeah, looking forward to seeing the Odyssey, and we'll definitely be.
Dude,
definitely talking about it. Who isn't? Who's not going to talk about it?
Dude, it's going to be crazy. And I know that you've talked about in the Sundance episode, really like Leviticus. We've just got a lot to talk about this summer. Any more messages before we close it out?
No. Eat your vegetables.
Eat your vegetables. Go see more movies. Love your toys. You know, you'll be too old one day to not love them, and then they'll go off to Bonnie.
Yeah.
But thank you again for watching another episode of Pinoy's versus the World. As always, edited, executively produced by Jonas Hyllseth. Follow us on Instagram and YouTube at Pinoy's Versus. Again, shout out if you've come from the continuation of the blow up of the Pinoy's.
We had a few trickle in on the Mando short.
We had to, if you're here from the Mando short, thank you for your opinions.
Which is cool.
We
Great.
respect it.
Yeah.
Respectfully, still a 2 out of 5. But we love you. Thanks for joining us on this journey. So I'll end it by saying, as always, my name is Harald Hyllseth.
My name is Chris Angkico.
And we will talk to you all in the next one. Peace.